going on, everybody? It's the Bulls Show, aka Aidan, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got the Chicago Bulls and Washington Wizards game reaction. Ladies and gentlemen, we versed the Washington Wizards away from home not too long ago, and that game ended in dramatic fashion. I think it's safe to say this game against the Washington Wizards at the United Center ended in a little bit more of a dominating fashion for the Chicago Bulls as we continue to win, and our win streak extends to 9 in a row, and it's a big win for the Chicago Bulls as well. We all missed our Bulls basketball. It was a long break for this Chicago Bulls team and for all the fans to see what we're going to see from the Chicago Bulls. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show. Turn notifications on and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls game today. Out of the very big selection of players, who was your player of the game, and your overall thoughts on the 9-game winning streak, and when do you think the streak will end, because it's a big streak to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. And with a lot of really tough competitive games coming up, it's going to be interesting to see how we can compete with some of the better teams in the NBA. But let's focus on this game, ladies and gentlemen. We won this game 130 to 122. This was a completely different style of game, in my opinion, compared to the last time against the Washington Wizards. Of course, in that game, it was very paint orientated for the Washington Wizards. They took everything to the paint. Everything was at the rim, and you very rarely saw them make a shot in the mid-range or at the three-point line in that game. This game was a little bit more well-balanced from, I guess, the Wizards' point of view. They got to the paint. They shot really good from the three-point line outside of a few players. The mid-range was their bread and butter today. But the Chicago Bulls, completely different team, in my opinion, from that last game against Washington to this game against Washington. Again, the offense was just so good today. So many well-balanced, so many pure scorers. This is the Chicago Bulls at their offensive best today, in my opinion. A team that can get everybody involved, a team that runs out in transition, gets a lot of easy opportunities on the fast break. We had a lot of fast break points in today's game. A team that likes to turn the ball, force other teams to turn the ball over. A team that likes to get out and keep balls alive from offensive rebounds and defensive rebounds and get second chance opportunities in that area. This is the Bulls team at its sparkling best on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, of course, there were some good moments in the game, but you got to give full credit to the Washington Wizards for not falling away in this game. Again, we had a 73-point first half, I should say, and the Washington Wizards were right behind us with 66. And although we played some okay defense at times in that game, they did not go away. They kept on fighting, and that's where the Washington Wizards are going to be a good team, in my opinion, for the remainder of the season, because they do bring the battle, and most teams won't be able to respond to that. But this Bulls team is a very special team. It's a very good team, and it's a team that's going to be walking away with their 9th straight win in a row in one of the best win streaks at the NBA level. I absolutely loved this game offensively. It was a joy to watch, and we kind of got the handle of things in the late third, early fourth quarter. We ended up extending the lead dramatically. We saw players that didn't necessarily have great offensive games look for other players on offense in terms of passing. And DeMar DeRozan, he was fantastic as a playmaker today. Just a great game overall to talk about. And again, these are the types of games that we have been seeing quite a few times. We saw very similar games against Atlanta. We saw very similar games throughout the course of the season. Games like the Magic as well, things like that. And you just got to give full respect and full admiration to the Chicago Bulls team for just the way that they're finding so many diverse ways to win these games, whether it's defensively gritting their teeth and trying to get something out of a game where maybe they weren't playing at their best, or maybe when their offense just simply takes over and absolutely goes berserk, and we win those games as well. You love to see the diversity of a team like the Chicago Bulls, and it reigns through big time in today's game. Let's look at their individual performances now, ladies and gentlemen. Let's look at the positives and the negatives for every single one of these players, and the strengths and the weaknesses, and just a great game to discuss overall. Starting off with Lonzo Ball, ladies and gentlemen. He is back in fine fashion. Had a really, I guess, struggled game in his last game out against the Magic. He comes back firing today with 18 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals on the night for Lonzo Ball. 6 from 11 overall from the field, and funnily enough, 6 from 11 from the three-point line. He only took three-pointers, ladies and gentlemen. At the end of the day, when you're making the three-pointers, you can't really argue with the success rate of Lonzo Ball and his shooting efficiency in today's game. Of course, I would like to see Lonzo Ball attack the paint. That was one of the weaknesses I said in the Orlando Magic game reaction, and it remains through to today. But again, he shot 6 from 11 from the three-point line. He shot 54% from three, and as well as adding on to his defensive capabilities, it's a fantastic night from Lonzo Ball. It almost feels like he never left. He was getting around the 18 points and the 6 or 5 assist mark when he first entered protocol. So this is around the type of game that we normally see from Lonzo. He was very good in today's game, did some really good things, and of course he contributed in the scoring fashion as well. And in my opinion, he's the big part. He's the leadership role on the defensive end, and he's a big part to the way that we won this game. He had a great game overall, and it's in contention for player of the game for me. Nikola Vucevic had 16 points, 14 rebounds, 7 assists, and 4 steals in today's game. He didn't make a three, but he shot 42% from the field, which is a very okay level, in my opinion, for Nikola Vucevic. The way that I see this game going, especially for him, he did a little bit of everything today. He had to, of course, strategize for how to stop Daniel Gafford. Daniel Gafford had a great game. You can't argue that. And, of course, not all of that is the responsibility of Nikola Vucevic, but a few chunk of those possessions was. But he did a great job in trying to protect, I guess, the alley-oop situation against Daniel Gafford. He tried to, I guess, make sure that the threat wasn't there. Of course, it didn't always work out, but in the end, he got 4 steals, and a lot of them was off of pick and rolls and deflecting pick and rolls, trying to force it up to Daniel Gafford. As good as Daniel Gafford played, as good as the Washington Wizards are in the paint, there are only so many times you could force an issue to get it to a player. Of course, Daniel Gafford played great. Bradley Beal played great. Kyle Kuzma played okay outside of the three-point shot because he was awful from there. Caldwell Pope played great. Spencer Dinwiddie played great. All the players had great games, but they're forcing situations at times, and they're forcing it to Daniel Gafford where the situation might not always present itself there. And Vucevic got 4 steals, and a lot of those steals had to come from pick and roll deflection. So he did a good job defensively, in my opinion. The rebounding is something that he's been fantastic on for most of this stretch of games in this 9-game win streak. He's been phenomenal on the rebounding side. And 16 points to go on top of that with 42% shooting. Very good night from Nikola Vucevic, and he again really had a strong game. Zach LaVine had 27 points, 1 rebound, 3 assists with 1 steal in today's game. By far the best outside of Lonzo Ball in the starting lineup. The best efficiency with 50% from the field. Only 1 from 6 from the three-point line. Would love to see him boost his three-point percentage there. But again, Zach LaVine is someone that, rightfully so, had an amazing game, and he's been having amazing games all of December, and now it's starting to carry over into January as well. And he's an all-star, ladies and gentlemen. This is what all-stars do. Again, DeMar DeRozan is someone we'll get to later. Didn't have a great scoring night, to say the least, in terms of what he can produce on a nightly basis. It was definitely a down night for DeMar DeRozan. So Zach LaVine going up, stepping up to the occasion, scoring some big buckets in the fourth quarter, big buckets all the way through the game, and being able to get 27 points on a night where everybody else was contributing as well, shows the level of play that he is at. He is definitely an all-star. He's arguably in the top 10 MVP conversation at the moment. Out of the top 10 players in the league, he's definitely up there in my opinion, and he should be an all-star starter in my opinion. So again, that's a little bit of Bulls bias kicking in, but I strongly believe it. And again, I really hope a lot of you guys will be voting for Zach LaVine just to get him a little bit more votes and to see whether he can make that starting position or not. He rightfully deserves it, in my opinion. The way this team is playing, the way the Bulls are winning games, he's definitely an all-star starter, and we should get him there, ladies and gentlemen. Moving into an MVP caliber player himself, DeMar DeRozan. Very off day for him. He had 15 points, 5 rebounds, and 8 assists with a block in today's game. What I like about DeMar DeRozan is, again, he shot 31% from the field today. Very poor shooting night for DeMar, and I think he could understand that, and he definitely tried to look for other players in this game today as well. Again, off of a pick and roll, he's a very good decision maker. And of course, when he's feeling the moment and he's feeling his shots are going in, more often than not, you're going to see DeMar DeRozan take a shot that may be seen as tough or very contested, but when the shots fall in, the shots fall in, and DeMar DeRozan is one of those guys you can trust taking tough shots for this team and making them. But his shots not falling scoring today. So he turned into the facilitator. He got players like Lonzo Ball open threes, Kobe White open threes. He got Tony Bradley a really nice dunk in the game as well. Truly outstanding playmaking for DeMar DeRozan. And it's like Arturis said in his recent radio conversation I believe he had. We signed DeMar DeRozan just as much for his playmaking as we do for his scoring. So the way that he's able to diversify his game once again and find different ways to hurt opponents when he's not having the best game scoring-wise is a really great sight to see. And it's just the level of an all-star. It's a level of a great player. And again, trying to find more ways to hurt teams is truly an outstanding feat for the Chicago Bulls. And it's great to see that we have players that can hurt you in more ways than one. Derrick Jones Jr. had 2 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. Look, it's not a great game for Derrick Jones Jr. Foul trouble definitely hurt him. And then you see players off the bench like Ayo and Kobe White and Troy Brown Jr., Tony Bradley, all of these guys having a fantastic runs in the game, fantastic moments in the game. And overall, some of them just fantastic games in general. Derrick Jones Jr. fell to the wayside a little bit. And again, as a bench player, normally Derrick Jones Jr. is, it's still a very similar situation where if other players are playing better than Derrick Jones Jr., he won't get a lot of minutes compared to those guys, which is expected. At the end of the day, that power forward position is not a lock for the Chicago Bulls. It's not something that we truly see as a fully, I guess, glorified position where we know who's going to play there, we know he's going to get a certain amount of minutes, we know he's going to get shots up. That power forward position is wide open for the taking. So Derrick Jones Jr. did not have a great game today, but I'm sure we will see him in the next one retaliate. Very similar to DeMar DeRozan as well. Both these guys will probably look at this game and find different ways to retaliate in the next one against the Dallas Mavericks, and hopefully we can see that because we're going to need both of them to have big games in that one. Moving into the bench, ladies and gentlemen, let's start off with Kobe White. Again, something else I want to say before I get to that, the bench scoring today was unbelievable. We had over 50 points in terms of bench scoring. Again, it goes to show when the bench is scoring the way that it is, this team is almost impossible to beat. We need to see it more consistently, and that's always going to be a conversation to have every single game. The more we see it consistently, the better we're going to be. But obviously, we know that this team has the capabilities to do this and to do it well. And we've seen it over recent times. We've had a game where we've had over 60 points off of the bench. This game, I believe, was over 50 points off the bench. Unbelievable performance from our bench today. And every single one of them should really look at themselves and be very proud of their performance. And they are the reason why we won this game. Again, this game was extremely back and forth. Every time we made a run, the Wizards came back and had a run of their own. They eventually took the lead in the third quarter. And then the bench, as soon as the bench came in the late third, we sparked the run, ladies and gentlemen. And the bench is the reason we won this game, because of that amazing run that extended it to around the 20-point mark, where the starters came back and they simply could not give up the lead from that position. It was a truly fantastic sight to see from the bench. Kobe White had 21 points, 2 rebounds, and 3 assists with 87% from the field, and he did not miss a three-pointer, ladies and gentlemen. He was absolutely lights out in today's game. And again, another consistent performance from Kobe White, another great performance from Kobe White. And it's good to see, again, 2 games now he's been on the bench, and 2 games he has delivered in bench scoring, and he's delivered on the court. He's getting starters minutes because he's playing like a starter off the bench, and that is a fantastic sight to see. And it's something we're going to keep on seeing until we see the likes of Alex Caruso return. It's going to be great to see Kobe White play at that level with someone next to him like Alex Caruso, who can definitely handle his own defensively. You play a 3-guard system with Ayo as well. This could truly be a great bench if everything goes well and everybody plays at their highest level. And that's what we saw today. Ayo Dosunmu, ladies and gentlemen, had 18 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists with 3 steals, shooting 77% from the field, 7 from 9 from shooting, 3 from 4 from the 3-point line. In my opinion, someone else that is a contention for player of the game for me. Again, he is someone that in the end had a fantastic game in scoring. He was very well balanced in his rebounding and facilitating. As soon as he went on Bradley Beal went extremely quiet. We saw very similar things with Trae Young. Very good game from Ayo Dosunmu. Not to mention that he did get the highest plus minus on the team as well. I don't usually look at that stat, but usually when Ayo has games like this, he's clearly going to be the leader in the plus minus because he sparks the run and he plays really good defense and he brings the energy. He was fantastic today, and it's just crazy to see. Like, are you guys surprised that Ayo had a game like this just after getting his jersey retired the day before? So I'm not surprised. This is a typical Ayo performance in my opinion, and he has that mentality to have big games on big nights. This is a big night for him, and he had a big game. So of course I'm not surprised that Ayo had a game like this. And again, he's in contention for player of the game for me. He rightfully deserves to be in that conversation. Troy Brown Jr. had 5 points and 1 rebound in today's game. A decent night from Troy Brown Jr. His scoring was fairly good for the Chicago Bulls. He made 2 out of his 3 shots. Again, not a lot of shots there for Troy Brown Jr., but the important thing is that he makes the shots that he can get. And again, played solid defense. Not too much to say about Troy Brown Jr. in today's game. Tony Bradley had 8 points, 4 rebounds, and 1 assist in today's game. He also had 2 blocks on the board for him. A really good night for Tony Bradley again. Playing with Lonzo Ball is someone that I think he really enjoys playing with. DeMar DeRozan got him some easy shots as well. He ran the floor. He did his thing in limited minutes, and that's great to see. We saw a little stint from Jordan Bell today as well. And of course, he didn't have the best of games, I should say, for Bell. And I would like to see him play a little bit more than 2 minutes. But Tony Bradley comes in as the center position, as his main position for the Chicago Bulls, and he delivers in really good fashion for this team. I like his ability to run the floor as a 7-footer. I like his ability when he does run the floor to get offensive rebounds and putbacks, and that's what a center should be doing for this team, especially a team that loves to run out in transition. It makes the world a lot easier when you see centers run the floor and get easy opportunities on the fast break when it comes to transition play, offensive putbacks, anything you'd like to think about. That's very important for a center to do, and he did it in great fashion today, and that's why he had the stat line in 10 minutes of game. Let's look at the must improve, ladies and gentlemen. As good as we were today, there is a must improve to talk about, and it will be Derrick Jones Jr. for me. Just not his night, ladies and gentlemen. We decided to go with other players in this team. Ayo had 30 minutes. Kobe White had 30 minutes. Troy Brown Jr. had 13 minutes as well, or 14, I should say. So in the end, Derrick Jones Jr. fell to the wayside a little bit as a starter, only playing around 16 minutes in this game. Is not something you usually see from a starter, but when you're not playing well, you probably don't get the minutes that you should. And in the end, Derrick Jones Jr. with the foul trouble and everything in that situation of this game did end up hurting the Bulls more than it did helping us. In the next game, I'm sure we're going to see the best of him. We usually see Derrick Jones Jr. have inconsistent games, which means that a good game is going to be coming for him in the next one, and that's what I'm looking forward to. Hopefully, he can have a great game against Dallas. And the player of the game for me, I'm going to give it to him, ladies and gentlemen. It's a big night for him, and I know you got to give full credit to Lonzo Ball. You got to give full credit to Nikola Vucevic. You can give full credit to Zach LaVine. I am going to give it to Ayo. This is, I believe, the first bench player that I've given player of the game to, so it's an historic moment for Ayo Dosunmu here. Of course, Kobe White probably could have got it a couple of times as well, and I definitely neglected him a little bit, which again is something that I tend to do sometimes. It is what it is. I don't always look at the bench as player of the game candidates, but Ayo is the one for me, ladies and gentlemen. Again, the highest plus minus speaks everything in my opinion. His defensive display on Bradley Beal speaks everything, and he was able to have a great night defensively and offensively, having 18 points, 4 assists as well, really good playmaking, making his corner shots, getting out in transition. It's just an all-around perfect game from Ayo in my opinion. The rookie gets his first player of the game. Congratulations to him. And I also like the idea of him having this night on the night before, where it was very special for him. He comes out and he demonstrates how big of a night it was with a big performance against the Wizards. It's a really outstanding feat for Ayo Dosunmu. I am truly happy to see him have a game like this. And again, I don't expect 18 from him every night. I don't think anybody expects 18 from him every night. But we know on his night, he can get to that 18 to 20 point mark. We know he can get his rhythm offensively, and he's a good scorer. We know these things. It's about finding the consistency with him as well. And we'll just wait and see when that consistency can form, and if it's going to be a massive, big thing for the Chicago Bulls. We'll wait and see. But ladies and gentlemen, the Bulls record, I believe, is 26-10. We extend our winning streak to 9 in a row, which makes the next game a big one, ladies and gentlemen. Can we extend the winning streak to double digits? That's going to be the big thing for the Chicago Bulls. I would absolutely love for this team to go out and have a win against the Dallas Mavericks, which is our next game, and extend that winning streak to 10. I don't think I've seen a 10-game winning streak in a while for the Chicago Bulls. So the reality is, again, it's an important win against the Washington Wizards. The Bucks beat the Nets today, so we end up having a little bit more breathing room at the top of the Eastern Conference at the moment. Obviously, nothing is going to be permanent. We might not be there for the whole time. We'll wait and see. But a big game against Dallas coming up. I don't think Porzingis will be playing in that game for the Dallas Mavericks. It will be away from home. We'll be traveling to Dallas's home turf in Texas, and we'll wait and see how we could perform over there. We did versus Dallas once, and we did beat them fairly comfortably, I would say. We'll wait and see if this could be a similar result away from our home crowd out in the West. It's going to be a tough game in my opinion, but again, a win extends the winning streak to 10, and I'd love to see a double-digit win streak for the Chicago Bulls. It's been a long time since we've seen it, and there's nothing more I would like than to see it again. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Please like and subscribe if you're new. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you enjoyed the game. It was a really good game to watch, a fun game overall. And ladies and gentlemen, we're only getting started. It's still a very busy upcoming schedule for the Chicago Bulls, but in the end, it's one that I truly believe we will be ready for. We've got some tough games. Let's see how we could do against some good opposition. Take care and peace.